Hi students, I believe you have finished your activities on percentage. So from today onwards, we are going to spend some time going through graphs. And today we are solely focusing on column graphs, something quite easy for us to understand. Let's look at an example given in your student book, page 85. Okay, so things to take note when you're looking at the graph. First, of course, is the heading. Okay, it's talking about a family going for a holiday and they are deciding what clothes to wear depending on the temperature of the city, which is something very practical. Okay, so the top here is actually known as the heading, cities of the world, in terms of the temperatures. So next thing is we look at the axis. This is commonly known as the y-axis. So for this case, the y-axis actually tells us about the temperature of the various cities. Okay, next thing is we got to determine the intervals. So this is another very important skill that you need to possess. So for this case, as you can see, there are two squares here and the difference is 4 degrees. So it simply means each square, okay, or each gap here is actually 2 degrees. So you see 28, add another 2 degrees, this part is 30 degrees, this part is 32 degrees. So let's look at this. Oh, this Darwin. Okay, the lowest temperature, the minimum temperature for Darwin. Look at it. It's in the middle of the two square. So let's look at this part here. This is 18 degrees. This is 20 degrees. So in between here, this will be 19 degrees for Darwin. Okay, so that's how you interpret graph based on the y-axis. And if you look at the x-axis, these are the names of the cities that are given to you. So this family is actually going to many different places, isn't it? I guess it will be exciting. Then the other part here will be the legend. Okay, the legend actually tells us about the minimum temperature represented in blue, and the maximum temperature of each city is represented in orange. Okay, so there are two temperatures given, and whatever you see, this is the lowest temperature and this is the highest temperature. So whatever you see here is actually known as the difference in the temperature. Okay, let's go through some of the question. Okay, or maybe I'll give you an example here, like for London. So this is London city, and the highest temperature is actually 20 degrees. If you look here, you look at the adjacent side. Okay, it's actually 20 degrees. Can you see that? And then for London, the lowest temperature is actually 14 degrees, isn't it? So that's how you read the temperature. Well done. Let's move on. So there are a couple of questions inside on the student book that you need to answer, and I'll go through some of the skills required for it. So for example, they say which city has the lowest minimum temperature? So we're interested in the minimum temperature. Which city has the lowest? So we're going to see the blue columns. So which of them is the lowest? And it seems like Beijing is the one with the lowest, isn't it? Of them all? Yeah, that's right. So Beijing is the answer. So they say, how many degrees hotter is Athens than New York? So some of you will say, oh, Mr. Leong, do I use the maximum or do I use minimum temperature to compare? So you see, I actually get the hint from this word hotter. So let's look at the maximum temperature between the two cities. So Athens is actually 30 degrees and New York is actually 16. It's actually 15 degrees. So the difference is actually 30 minus 15 degrees. So the difference between the two cities is actually 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, remember the units are important. Don't forget about that. Okay, which city has the smallest difference in minimum and maximum temperature? So you're talking about the difference between the temperature within the city. So let's look at them. Okay, this one is quite a big gap. Or this one here, is 2 square. This one is 1.5 square. Okay, seems like 1.5 square is the smallest difference, isn't it? So New York is actually the one with the smallest minimum and maximum temperature difference. Okay. What about this question? I believe we have touched something on average in the past, but let's go through the concept again. So whenever we need to find average, we always need to find the total first. Okay, so we are interested with the total maximum temperature of the three cities. So Melbourne is 20, Sydney is 26, Darwin is 32. So I add up the total temperature of these three cities based on the maximum is 78 degrees Celsius. And to get the average, since I'm comparing with three cities, that's why I divide the total temperature by 3. So the average temperature of the three cities is 26 degrees Celsius. So please complete our student book page 85, and if you have any issue, do drop me a note on Teams. Okay, bye-bye.